Hi, and welcome to Advanced SQL using MySQL Database. I hope many of you enjoyed the previous class, which was an intro to SQL. My name is Scott Bartow, and this four-part class is offered to you by the Clifton Park Half Moon Library. And in the intro to SQL using the MySQL database, I had you install a MySQL database to your personal computer. And what you're seeing on my screen right now, what I'm sharing with you, is what the MySQL database, once you have it installed properly on your computer, would look like. So this is the tool. This is a MySQL workbench. And if you look over to the left, you can see I have a classic models database, a sample database that I had loaded into MySQL workbench. And if I click on the arrow for classic models, it lists the tables. If I click on the arrow for the tables, it lists all the tables in this sample database. And those tables include customers, employees, offices, order details, orders, payments, product lines, and products. If you click on an arrow for any of the tables, it will list, it will give you the option to click on the columns. So these are the different columns within that table, the customers table right now. Let's see. If you weren't able to download the MySQL database to your computer, there is another way to do the exercises that I assigned to Google Classroom, and that is, let me go out to Google. All right, so if you go to MySQLtutorial.org, for those of you who didn't join me in the intro to SQL class, if you go out to MySQLtutorial.org, if you look over to the right-hand side under MySQL Quick Start, I'll highlight it. You have the second link is install MySQL Database Server. So you'd have to go through these four links. So first you would install the MySQL Database Server, then you would connect to the MySQL server, then you would download a MySQL sample database, which in this case is the classic models database. And then you would load that sample database that you've downloaded into your version of the MySQL server, which will be on your own computer. Now, if there's quite a few steps to load the database and connect to it, and then download the sample database, and then load that sample database. It's not super easy to do, but so if you're not able to accomplish that, please, all those that have registered for this class, I'll invite you to my Google Classroom for the class, and you can communicate with me with any questions that you have, and also after every session, I'll be assigning different exercises for that correspond to whatever I covered in that session. So, but if you're not able to install the MySQL database server and the sample database, if you look over in the toolbar on this page, MySQLtutorial.org, at the very far right, there's Try It. So if you click on Try It, this will give you a online ad hoc database, and it contains the sample database classic models that we'll be using in class. If you look over to the left, once you click on Try It, this screen will come up. If you look to the left, you have the table list, which includes all the the tables in the classic models database that we'll be using. And then in the center of the screen towards the top, you have an SQL query panel. And this is where you would enter your SQL code, like select star, let's say star from customers, semicolon. Right. Oops, where's the semicolon? There we go. And then just a little bit below the SQL query panel, you click on the green button, execute. All right. And once I click on that, so you enter your SQL code in the SQL query panel, hit execute, and then down below you have a results panel. And these are the results from the SQL that I typed in. And where you have the different column headings, customer number, customer name, contact last name, contact first name, phone. And then you have the rows of data that fall under each of the column headings for that table. In this case, we're using the customers table. All right, so if you're not able to load the MySQL database to your computer, then please come out to mysqltutorial.org, and then off to the right in the toolbar, click on Try It, and Try It will allow you to enter the SQL code and follow along with the exercises or during the recording of this class. So I'm going to go back to my database, MySQL Workbench. All right, and it looks something like this. So if you look over to the right, I mean the left, under Navigator, we have the classic models database. And if I click on the arrow, it lists the tables. So you click on the tables, and then you can click on the various tables. I click on customers, and then I click on columns. It'll display the columns for that customer table. If I click on office, the offices table, and then click on columns, you can see the different columns within the offices table. All right, so here are all the tables in our sample database. And for the first session of advanced SQL using MySQL database, we are going to be working with joins. We're trying to join tables that have a similar column in common. But before we go into joins too much, I wanted to do a little refresher on aliases, MySQL aliases for columns and for tables. All right, because we're going to be using table name aliases and column name aliases when we dive kind of deep into joins. All right, so aliases come in two types when you're working with MySQL, and those are first the column aliases. All right, so if you have, say we have, let's say, I'll go into the customers table and columns. All right, so if we have a select statement, select, I don't know, customer name, and we want a column alias, we can do as and I will do a single quote because it's going to be two words, customer space name, and then end it with a single quote. All right, and I'm going to go back to using the same format I used in the first class, Intro to SQL, which is all the SQL commands I'm going to capitalize. So select is a command in SQL. So select, oops, ECT. And I'm also capitalizing in this statement as, because that is another command. And then on the next line, I will do the from command. And I want it to be from the customers table. Well, I'm going to link it to the database. So classic models dot customers. And then I'll end it with a semicolon. All right, so when I run this SQL and in the MySQL Workbench that you install on your computer, the way to execute your SQL code is with this this lightning bolt on the toolbar, right above your code, right above the select statement is a lightning bolt. So if I hit this, it will execute. And it even says that when you hover over the lightning bolt, it says execute the selected portion of the script. So I hit that, and then let's see, yep, right in the middle, my middle panel is my result grid. All right, and see how it displays the column name not as customer name, but as the word customer space name, which is my column alias that I assigned right here. So it comes across as capital C customer space capital N name. All right, because I gave that column an alias. Now, if I had taken this, if I take this out, I'm just going to use a quick comment. So if I do dash dash, that will comment out the as single quote customer space name. All right, so if I just done a select customer name, the column name, from classic models.customers table, then down in the result grid, my heading is just going to be the column name, which would be customer capital N name. So I'm going to execute this. So I execute it. The data will be the same because the statement's the same as customer name. Oh no, didn't like my comment. Let's see. I will just wipe it out. All right. So I will click the lightning bolt again and run it. If you look in the result grid now, the column name is the column heading is the same as the column name in the database, customer capital N name. All right, so that's how you use the as to assign a alias for the column name. And now let's talk real quick about the table aliases. All right, so we're going to use a table alias. Right. So using the same statement, select customer name from classic models.customers. Now, if I want to do a table alias, right, instead of in my SQL code using classic models.customers all over the place, which is kind of long, I can just name this alias, say C, because the table name starts with a C, so I'm just going to call it C. All right. And now if I run this query, the same result grid comes up. So now where this comes in handy is when you have when you're doing joins and you have two tables with a similar column name that you want to join together, right? You want to grab the data from records that share a value in a column that they have in common. So what's a good example? Let's say customer number. What if we go to another table? How about order details? All right, I'll take a look at that. See what columns are in there. That has an order number. And if I go to orders, that also has an order number, all right? All right, so I'm going to select I'm going to select from the order details table, I want to select the product code column, product code, comma, and then from the orders table, I want to select the order date. Order date. All right. So from classic models, we're not doing customers anymore. We are doing orders, order details. Details. Right. So I'll come up here. Yeah, it's order details, but it's all lowercase, so no capital D in order details. And I'm going to give that a table alias of OD for order details. All right, then comma, because I want to have another table. And the second table is going to be the orders table. Orders, classic model. Classic models, orders. And I'm just going to call this this table, I'm going to give it an alias of O for orders. All right. And then order by. Oh, I just want O. Okay. And then we're going to do a where clause where OD dot order number and the IntelliSense comes up. I want to choose the second one. So off to the left in IntelliSense you have COLN surrounded by brown. That represents column, and I want the second one down, which is order number. Double click on it and it populates it for me. Hit space, hit the equal sign, equals, then I want to do from the orders table, O dot order number. And that's the third one down, the column order number. Double click, and that's going to be it. I'll do a semicolon to end my statement. So I've got select product code, comma, order date. The product code comes from the order details table. Order date comes from the orders table. And I'm only grabbing that information when the order number on the order details table is equal to the order number on the orders table. So I'm joining those two tables by a common column. All right. So I'm going to hit the lightning bolt, and what happens? It doesn't like that. I'm going to do this classic models. Let's say classic models. Oh, I spelled it wrong. So classic models for my orders table. I didn't have it spelled right. All right, so I will run now in the MySQL Workbench. Down at the bottom, you have output, which will show you the errors. So if you look at the very bottom of my screen, number 5 has a black red X, 5, and then it says select product code, order date from blah blah blah, and then under the message it says error code 1049 unknown database class models. So I forgot to see it in classic, and it's giving me a hint of what my error was. That's how I was able to find it so quickly. All right, so now I'm going to click the lightning bolt to run my SQL. And if you look in the result grid in the middle panel, I display product code and order date, and these values are only for where the order number in the order details table equals the order number in the orders table. So it's a little I'm showing you how to join tables, but you can see how much more convenient it is by using like table aliases. I don't usually use column aliases too much, not unless I want the result grid to have the headings that I want and spelled the right way, with capital letters and spaces and everything. But I use all the time. I use aliases for table names because it's just so much more convenient to be able to write out your SQL code. All right. So that's a little lesson on aliases, column aliases and table aliases. So now why don't we get into talking about joins. Okay. All right. So, okay. So with joins, so first of all, we're working with a relational database, which consists of multiple related tables linked together using common columns, which are known as foreign key columns. And because of this, data in each table is incomplete from a business perspective, but only when you relate those tables to each other do you get a complete picture for your business or whatever you're using it for. So let's see. So like the example that we used when we were talking about aliases, we use the orders table and the order details table, all right? Because they share a column in common, which is order number. So you get, sample database, to get complete orders information, you need to query from both orders and the order details table. And that's where joins come in. A join is a method of linking data between one or more tables based on values of the common column between the tables. The common column between these two tables is order number. Now, MySQL Database supports the following types of joins. It supports an inner join, a left join, a right join, and a cross join. So we're going to be going and looking at these 4 types of joins today. So first, let us talk about the inner join. All right. Okay, the inner join matches each row in one table with every row in another table and allows you to query rows that contain columns from both tables. Okay. The inner join is an optional clause of the select statement. It appears immediately after the from clause. And here is the syntax of the inner join clause. So why don't I give you an example? All right. So let's kind of wipe this code out, and we'll do an inner join from another 2 tables. So I'm going to start with my select statement. Let's see. L-E-C-T. I capitalize my select, and I'm going to select from product code comma, product, UCT, name, comma, text, description. So those three columns. Then I want from the first table, which is going to be the products table. And we're going to call this T1 for table 1. All right. And then after the from, we're going to do an inner join. Space join. And I'm going to do that from the product lines table. And I'll give that a table alias of T2. And then I'm going to say on. So we're going to join on T1 dot product line. All right, so we're joining on the product line column. T2. So when product line, when the T1 dot product line column value equals the T2 dot product line value, then we will do a join and collect the data and display the product code, product name, and text description. T2 dot product line. Semicolon. All right. So this is an example of an inner join. We're using the inner join clause, and we're also using the on clause. Okay, so I will hit the lightning bolt, and let's see what happens. No database reference. Okay, so in my from clause, you have to preface the table name with the classic models table dot products. That's T1. All right, let's see if this runs now. Hit enter. Nope, still doesn't like it because down here in the inner join, I also need to preface the table name with the classic models database. Now I'll run it and fetching. Now it works. Okay, so in the middle of my screen, you can see the result grid, right? And it displays the three fields that we selected, which were product code. If you look in the first statement of our SQL, we have select product code, product name, text description. If you look in the result grid, we have product code, product name, and text description. And that is from a inner join between two tables. All right. So that's that. Okay. So now I just want to say that because the joined columns of both tables have the same name, which in this case is the column name is product line, you can use the using syntax. All right. So we keep our select statement with these three columns that we want to select, and we keep our from statement with the products table, and we keep our inner join. So inner join is going to be the product lines table, and instead of using on, we're just going to use, so get rid of the on, we're going to use using. So using, you can only use using when the column names are the same, are spelled the same. In this case, our column names between the two tables is product line. So it's using, and then it's a parenthesis, and then the column name, product line, and then parenthesis, and then finish your SQL statement with a semicolon. All right, so if I run this, I should have the same exact result grid. So let's look at the first record. It's S10, 1949, 1952, Alpine Renault. I run it. The first record is S10, 1949, 1952, Alpine Renault. All right, it's just a little bit easier using the using instead of instead of doing it, on where you have to list the column name equals the other column name. And then, right, so it's just a little bit easier. So, those are the details. All right, so now, I just want to show you how you would do 3 tables being joined together using an inner join, all right? So this query is going to use two inner join clauses to join 3 tables: orders, order details, and products. All right. So first, what we'll do, I'll start from scratch pretty much. So you have your select statement, and we're going to do order number, comma, order date, comma, order line number, comma, product name, comma, and quantity ordered, comma, price each. Hit enter, and now we're going to have my from, which will be the first table, orders. And I'll give it the alias of O. Nope. Wants to do order by. Alias of O. Then I do my inner join. Just like we did before when we were only joining 2 tables. And my inner join is going to be order, oh, I better do classic models. And this is going to be order details. And that'll be using space, parenthesis, order number, and parenthesis. And up here in my from statement, I forgot to put the database name. So classic models dot orders table. All right, so now the next line, using orders, and now I need another inner join because I've got a 3rd table. And classic models is the database name, dot. And now I'm going to link to the products table. And this is also using the using clause, parenthesis, and this one is going to be using product code. Right, hit enter, and now I'm going to do the order by. So I want to sort my data. Order by space, and I'll order by order number, and then by order line number. And end my statement with the semicolon. Oops. Right down here at the very end, semicolon, and I'm ready to run. And look down in the result grid, and it runs successfully. So in the result grid, it displays all the columns I select: order number, order date, order line number, product name, quantity ordered, and price each. And that is linking between multiple tables, or more than 2. So it's linking between 3 in this case. And I'm using multiple inner joins. So my first table is the orders table in my from clause, and then I do an inner join with the order details table, and they're using order number between them. And then I'm doing an inner join with the products table using product code, because product code is a column that is on the products table, but it's also on the orders table. If you look off to the left, I will go to the orders table. Here it is. Here's the orders table. The columns are, it shares order number with order details table. And where's product code? Product code must be, oh, I see. So the orders table shares it with the order details table. Then the second inner join, it has the products table sharing the column product code with the order details table. This one from the first inner join. All right, so they're all connected, these three tables, with one other table, and they are joining the tables together and able to join the table's data for that, for where the columns are in common. All right, so that's enough for inner joins. Let's move on to the next type of join, which is a left join. All right, I'm going to get rid of this SQL code and we'll start from scratch again. All right, a left join. Okay, the left join allows you to query data from two or more tables. Similar to the inner join clause, the left join is an optional clause of the select statement which appears immediately after the from clause. Suppose that you want to join two tables, T1 and T2. So let's see. So using our, let's see, we're going to use our customers table and we're going to use our orders table. So each customer can have 0 or more orders, while each order must belong to one customer. This query uses the left join clause to find all customers and their orders. All right. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do select, let's see, T, and we're going to select, let's say, let's see, I'm going to use the table alias C for the customers table, all right? And customer, I want the customer, customer table, customer number column. And then I want the customer name. And then I want the order number. And then finally I want the status. And then from classic models dot, and this is going to be customers and space, and then I'll give it a table alias of C. I don't want cross C. And now we're going to do a left join. Instead of before we did an inner join, now we're doing a left join. And we're going to do a left join on the table orders. Model orders. And that's going to be on. I'll say orders, I'll give it a table alias of O. And that's going to be on, let's see, O dot customer number equals, and the table alias C for customers table dot customer number, and give it a semicolon to finish it up. And that should work. So we have select C, customer number, customer name, order number, status. From that. Now it doesn't seem to like something. So if I hit the red under the lightning bolt, select C, customer, You have an error in your SQL syntax, check the syntax, use inner. Oh, I used left inner. What I meant is left join. I was thinking the inner join. All right, and now on my next to the left of my select statement, the red X is gone. So this should work. So I'll hit the lightning bolt to execute my code. And now you can see in the middle of my screen, I have a result grid, and it displays the 4 fields that I wanted: customer number, customer name, order number, status. And it displays the information from the left join. So what it did was, like you said before, each customer can have 0 orders, right? Can have 0 to many orders. Well, every order has to be tied to a customer, right? And it's tied to a customer by a customer number. All right. So the left join ties one to many. One customer number tied to many orders. All right. So that's what the left join did. So let's say. Right. So you can see in this code, using table aliases saves you a bit of time. On the on clause, I use the table alias O and the table alias C rather than type out the whole database dot table name. So table aliases really do come in quite handy. So I highly recommend them. You know, that table. That's right. Once again, because our customer number column that the 2 tables have in common are spelled exactly the same, instead of using on, we should use using, the using clause. So I'll wipe that out. And this just saves you a little bit of typing, but you can only do it when the common column names are spelled exactly the same between the 2 tables. So instead of on, I'm going to use using, just like we did with the inner join. So using, and then parenthesis, and then in this case, it's customer number, parenthesis, and then a semicolon. Yeah. Semicolon. All right, so when I run this, I should get the same information. If you look in the result grid, you have customer number 103, out here, graph each, order number 10123. So let's say I run it. First record 103, ulterior graphic 10123 is the order number. All right. So nothing changes, just a little less coding by when you're able to, by using the using clause rather than the on clause, and having to do a comparison, an equal comparison between the 2 fields. All right, so we discussed the inner join and the left join. Now, one more thing about the left join. In this example, you're going to have a customer, but that customer might have no orders. All right, so here's the way to write a SQL statement using a left join to find unmatched rows. All right, so left join can be very useful when you want to find rows in a table that doesn't have a matching row from another table. All right, so if we want to find customers who have no orders, right? Because an order can only exist if there's a customer. right? An order has to be tied to a customer, but a customer doesn't have to necessarily be tied to an order. It might have any orders, but can still be a customer. So what we can do is we can keep our code the same. Our select statement stays the same. Our from statement is the same from customers, and then we have our left join orders on. We can use using, I believe, but the thing we have to add is I can get rid of the semicolon because I'm going to go down the line below using, and I'm going to do a where clause where order number is null. Is null. Semicolon. All right. Let's run this. There we go. So the order number is null, and the status is null. But you've got a customer number. So the first record has a customer number of 125. The customer name is Havel and Zabilziak company. But it has no orders. All right. So this result grid is listing all the information, all the records that are customers that have no rows. All right. And so you can find that information by using the left join. All right. And with a simple where clause where the order number is null. So there are no orders for that customer. All right. So let's move on to the next type of join, which is a right join. All right. So that was a left join. Now we're going to do the right. So with a right join is similar to a left join, except that the treatment of the join tables is reversed. Here's the okay, so. And what they mean by that is, let's see. So now, next we're going to use the customer table and the employees table. So in this case with the left join, we had customers off to the left, right, which have to have a record, and orders, the orders table, which doesn't necessarily have to have any records, right? So the customer is 1, and the orders table is 0 to many, right? One customer can have many orders. Now, with a right join, it's we're going to use customers and we're going to use employees, right? So let's see. So the column sales rep employee number on the customers table links to the column employee number in the employees table. So a sales representative or an employee may be in charge of 0 or more customers. Each customer is taken care of by 0 or 1 sales reps. If the value in the column sales rep employee number is null, it means the customer does not have any sales rep. All right, so let me show you by example. Okay, so this example is going to use the right join clause to join the table customers with the table employees. So let's get rid of our SQL. And let's start over. Okay, so we have select. And we're going to select the employee number, comma, and also the customer number. Hit enter, and that's going to be from classic models dot what? Classic models customers table. I'm going to give an alias of C, so space C. And next I want to do a right join. GHC, join. And this is going to be from the classic models dot employees table. And I'll give that a table alias of E. Right, so that's employee number. That's a nice something. Right join. Right from. Let's see. Let's see what happens down here. I'm going to do this on sales rep employee, the long column name, number equal to employee number. All right, hit enter, and now I'll do order by. I want to sort my data. Employee number. There we go. And end it with a semicolon. All right, and the red X up by the select statement is now gone, so I think this is going to work fine. All right, so let's see what happens. So I will hit the lightning bolt, and looks like there's an error. Unknown column sales rep. Let's say I forgot the P in rep. Hit enter, and the lightning bolt, and now it works fine. So I just had a little typo in my sales rep employee number on the on clause. All right, so if you look at the results grid, you see employee number, and you see customer number. Let's see. So employee number. All right. So let's try and understand this. All right, we start with customers. And then, so if I'm going to close these off to the left. I'm going to close these down. So the tables we're dealing with are customers, right? And customers has the customer number, and it has the sales rep employee number. Sales rep employee number, okay. So let's see. So the reason why this is a right join is that the first table is the customers table. All right. So our customers might have a sales rep assigned to them, or they might not, or they might have multiple sales reps assigned to them. All right. So the customer, think of the customer table as being off to the left, and the employees table being off to the right. All right. So you have employees, but so you have one to possibly many customers or no customers to the left. All right, that's why they call it a right join. I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe if I type it down below. So we're dealing with the customers table off here to the left, and we're dealing with the employees table to the right. All right. So that's an example of a right join, because from the right side, the employee side, you have sales rep employees, right? But whether those sales rep employees are assigned to a customer or not is possible. All right, so maybe if I write it out. So this is a right join. And then I'll show you an example of a left join, our previous example, right, where we were using, what was it, one-to-many. So we were using customers, where there was always a customer, and orders, right? So with the left join, you had on the left, you had one customer to none or many orders. With our right join example, you have one sales rep employee on the right being tied to none or many customers off to the left. So that's the difference between a left join and a right join. It's, whatever the table is, whether it's on the right or the left, that table is the one that has at least one record. All right. So with the left join, we had in the customers table, we have one particular customer, and off to the right, they would have 0 to many orders. With the right join, you have off to the right, you have in the employees table, you have one. You always have one sales rep that was tied to no customers or many customers to the left. All right, so that's, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the difference between the left and the right join. So let's see if there's one more thing that we can add for the right join. Right join. So in this example, the right join would. So with the right join, we want to use a right join clause to find employees who do not charge, who are not in charge of any customers. All right, so we can keep our SQL pretty much the same. We want to select employee number and customer number from customers. We want to do a right join on employees for the employees table on sales rep employee number equal employee number. And we have order by employee number, but we want to slip in that where clause, and you would put the where clause above your sorting, above the order by, and below the on clause. So we'll do I'm going to do where customer number is no. I don't know if you remember that from the when we were doing the example for the left join, looking for nulls for unmatched records when you're doing a left join. Now we're looking for unmatched records when we're doing the right join. All right, so this should be all set. I'm going to hit the lightning bolt and we get a result grid. So we have a where clause of customer number when it equals null. I want you to list all the different employee numbers. All right. So these are sales rep employees of our company that don't have any customers. All right, because they're not tied to any customer numbers. All right, there's a decent amount of them in here. Now, they might have other responsibilities, so that's why they're not assigned to a specific customer, or they might be new employees, and they're still learning the ropes, so they haven't been given the responsibility of being assigned to a customer. So that's it for tonight's session. This is the first session of 4 sessions for the advanced SQL using MySQL Database class, offered to you by the Clifton Park Half Moon Library. And please accept my invitation, all those of you who have registered through the library website. Please accept my invitation to my Google Classroom. I can explain things. If you have any kind of questions, I'll be providing exercises after every session that you can work on. If you have problems with those, I'll go over it with you. And so I hope to see all of you accept my invitation from Google Classroom, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's lesson. Sorry I didn't get to the 4th type of join, which is a cross join, but we will cover that in the next session. And along with the cross join, we'll be going into how to do group bys in your SQL statements. All right, have a good night, and thanks for joining me.